All right, welcome back to Oversight Theater, where Congress asks simple questions and the witness responds like a Roomba, hitting a shoelace, spinning in circles, yelling about crime in your district. Today is Pam Bondi, Epstein files, survivors in the room, and a masterclass in not answering anything, while acting offended that anyone noticed. Cool, fun, totally normal democracy stuff. Let's go.
We are joined in this room by some of the thousands of survivors from Jeffrey Epstein's horrific sex trafficking ring.
Awesome. Survivors are here, live, in person, and you can feel the air get heavy, which means we're about to watch the DOJ trip over its own shoelaces in 4K.
The Epstein Files Transparency Act required your Department of Justice to disclose the perpetrators connected with Epstein's criminal activities and to redact the information of survivors to protect their identities.
Simple, right? Name the predators, protect the victims. It's like the easiest moral math problem on earth.
First, in violation of the law, your department has shown a pattern of redacting the names of powerful predators.
So, just to confirm, we're redacting the bad guys and calling it transparency. Love the creative writing.
Second, the survivors were not similarly protected, also in violation of the law.
Oh, cool. So we protected the powerful and exposed the survivors. That's not a mistake. That's a moral faceplant.
Your Department of Justice initially released this list of 32 survivors' names with only one name redacted.
One name. That's not redaction. That's a shrug with paperwork.
Survivors are now telling us that their families are finding out for the first time that they were trafficked by Epstein.
I'm not gonna get in the gutter for her theatrics.
Theatrics, ma'am? Survivors in the room are not theatrics. That's called consequences. And you seem allergic to them.
How many of Epstein's co-conspirators have you indicted? How many perpetrators are you even investigating?
Great question. Direct, measurable, numerical. It's basically a layup. So naturally, this is about to become a cage match.
First, you showed it. I find it.
How many have you indicted?
Excuse me. I'm going to answer the question.
Answer my question.
No, I'm going to answer the question the way I want to answer the question.
No,
Your
you're going to answer
theatrics
the
are
question the way I asked
ridiculous.
it.
Chairman
How many have you
Jordan, I'm not
indicted?
going to get in the gutter with these people,
How many
but
have
I'm
you-
going to answer the question.
How many have you indicted?
Again, the time belongs to
Reclaiming my time.
Kids, please. Mommy and Daddy are fighting over the concept of answering. And the word gutter is doing a lot of unpaid labor today.
The answer to my question, how many of Epstein's co-conspirators has she indicted, is 0.
There it is. The number. The one thing we came for. 0. Bold strategy. If your job is justice.
You have been the Attorney General for a whole year, and your DOJ fired the lead prosecutor of this case, sat on evidence this entire time, and claimed falsely last July that there were no more leads. It took an act of Congress for you to finally release part of the Epstein files, and when you did, you included personal information about the victims while protecting the names of abusers.
If you're hearing a pattern, that's not because it's not a pattern. It's a blueprint.
It's been reported that there were at one point 1,000 personnel assigned to the task of identifying and scrubbing Donald Trump's name from the Epstein files. Were those reports accurate?
Again, simple question. Was it true, yes or no? So obviously we're about to get a weather report.
I believe his name has appeared countless times in the documents
how
that
many
have
people were
been released.
assigned?
If I could finish, I'm going to read you the stats.
I just simply asked whether or not it was true that it was 1,000 folks who were assigned that task. Were those reports accurate?
There are more than 500 attorneys and reviewers. I cannot give you an exact number.
Okay.
Translation, it's not no. It's somewhere between a lot and an amount I don't want on the record. And the point is, why are hundreds of people assigned to scrubbing a name instead of protecting victims?
you do a Jekyll and Hyde kind of routine around here. And I just want you to answer my questions.
What does Jekyll and Hyde mean? Can you explain
it means
that?
you're nice to the
Explain
Republicans and you turn like Hyde on Democrats.
He's not even insulting her. He's describing her settings menu.
Let me ask you this, ma'am. We have the Epstein victim survivors here today. Representative Jayapal asked a simple question. If you would be so kind and honorable as to turn around and face them and apologize to them for outing them. I mean, how many lives have been derailed because your department was either sloppy and incompetent or willfully trying to intimidate and punish these ladies
Your time
for
is
coming
up.
forward?
And that's the move. Run out the clock, dodge the apology, sprint away from accountability like it's a wasp.
You redacted the photos of this victim's face because you were following the congressional law. Is that correct?
I'm sorry that we redacted the victim's
Because you were
face.
following the congressional law, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, wow, a clean answer. Everybody mark your calendars. Something is about to explode.
These two photos staring you in the face are evidence of a crime and more than enough evidence to predicate an investigation against former Prince Andrew. So I ask you, Attorney General Pam Bondi, why did you shut down this investigation last July and why have you not prosecuted former Prince Andrew?
I don't believe you asked Merrick Garland these questions when he was Attorney General and set before.
I agree with you.
You twice.
I'm reclaiming my time.
Never
I agree
mentioned-
with you. I agree with you.
And there it is, the classic, why didn't you ask the last guy? Cool, except you're the one sitting in the chair today.
But you are in charge. You have the power to change things, to hold these men accountable, and you're doing the opposite. You're protecting them. So I want to move on to another man. Former Prince Andrew, Donald Trump attended various parties with Jeffrey Epstein. I want to know, were there any underage girls at that party or at any party that Trump attended with Jeffrey Epstein?
Here we go. Direct question, yes or no territory. This is where the room gets quiet.
This is so ridiculous, and that they are trying to deflect from all the great things Donald Trump has done. There is no evidence that Donald Trump has committed a crime. Everyone knows that. This has been the most transparent presidency. He's the one that asked that those files
I'm reclaiming my time.
be
I got your
released.
answer. You said there's no
President
evidence.
Trump asked
Mr. Chairman, please
that
stop the
he
clock.
sign
Stop the clock.
the legislation.
No evidence while arguing over the files in a hearing about the files with survivors in the room, that is not a defense. That's a fog machine.
I believe you just lied under oath. There is ample evidence in the Epstein file.
Don't you ever accuse me of a crime.
I believe you just lied under oath, and this is on videotape.
She heard under oath and went straight to how dare you? Like outrage is a legal argument.
You said there's no evidence of a crime. I'm showing you. Here is a witness statement who called into the FBI's Threat Operations Center. He drove Donald Trump around in a limo. He overheard what Donald Trump said to Jeffrey on his cell phone. He was so angry, he was going to stop the limo and hurt Donald Trump.
Not endorsing violence ever, but it's wild how she can find time for crime stats and still not find time to answer the question in front of her face.
And he met a girl who said she was raped by Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein. She later had her head blown off, and officers at the scene said that could not have been suicide. No one at the Department of Justice interviewed this witness. You need to interview this witness immediately. Epstein should rot in hell, so should the men who patronized his operation. And as we sit here today, there are over 1,000 sex trafficking victims, and you have not held a single man accountable. Shame on you. If you had any decency, you would resign right after this hearing concludes.
The gentleman has expired.
Yeah, that one lands like a brick, and the silence after it says more than anything I could say.
This is what Congressman Liu didn't want to talk about. He didn't want to talk about all the crime that is happening in his state.
Yes, the look over there defense, because nothing says I answered your question like changing the subject at full speed.
379 weapons offenses and 234 sexual predator offenses. That's why they are deflecting. That's why they're trying to talk about the Epstein files. That's currently happening in his home state.
She's acting like discussing Epstein is a distraction. Ma'am, this hearing is literally about the DOJ and the Epstein files. That's not deflection. That's the assignment.
Your position seems to be that if you falsely designate an American or an American organization as a terrorist group, there's nothing they can do about it. I think we get it. You don't want to answer the
No,
question.
you don't get anything regarding public safety.
Thank you.
Nothing.
Thank you for the insult.
When your answer is an insult, that's not oversight. That's you losing the room in real time.
Behind me, I have 3 documents from the DOJ production that are emblematic of the massive failure of the DOJ to comply with the Epstein Files Transparency Act.
When a Republican starts reading your DOJ for filth, you know the situation is spicy and not the fun kind.
It was a list of names not to redact. A list of names not to release. What did the DOJ do with this email? They released this email in the document production. Literally the worst thing you could do to the survivors, you did.
That's the nightmare scenario. You had one job, protect survivors, and you hit send.
The domestic emoluments clause. And it says that the president is limited to his salary in office and cannot receive any other money from the federal government while he's in office.
Basic rule, president gets paid. President does not get a side quest payout from the government. Simple.
He's suing the IRS for $10 billion, which I think is around 80% of its annual budget.
$10 billion? That's not a lawsuit. That's a hostage note.
To the federal government for $230 million for the judicial search warrant at Mar-a-Lago.
After $10 billion, $230 million feels like the tip jar.
Do you think it would violate the domestic emoluments clause for the president to work out a deal from people who are his subordinates under his unitary executive theory to get money in one of these cases?
I'm not going to discuss pending litigation.
That's the professional way to say, I heard you, I understand you, and I'm not touching that with a 10-foot pole.
If Donald Trump can get $10 billion theoretically from the Department of Justice, how much should these people get for a far worse violation of their privacy rights and a far greater danger established to them in their lives?
That's the moral fork in the road. If you can imagine billions for Trump, can you imagine anything for the victims?
Do you even know who Chase Mulligan is? You're so obsessed with... You don't, do you?
I'm going to teach you the rules again. You're the Attorney General of the United States. We have rules here.
You're obsessed with him.
This is the move. Dodge the question, accuse the questioner of obsession, and pretend that's an answer.
With obsessed with Donald Trump, you have Trump derangement syndrome.
We have only 5 minutes. And so we use our time to ask you specific questions.
How long are you giving me to answer?
Excuse me, I'm not yielding to you right now. I'd like that second restored too.
Raskin wants his second back because Bondi will spend 5 minutes reciting a phone book if it means not answering you.
So, Ms. Bondi, the way it works is we ask you a question and you answer it. And if you go off on a wild goose chase, another tangent, you start reading statistics or you start talking about stuff going on in our district. And by the way, I invite you to my district. Come to my district, but that's not what we're here to do today. Okay? So, and you do that, then we're allowed to say we reclaim our time. At that point, you have to be quiet. You have no choice.
That right there is the rules tutorial for the Attorney General on how a hearing works.
You're in law enforcement. We've seen all kinds of evidence of crimes. And when we go over to the Department of Justice for the 4 computers for every member of Congress, we see more evidence of crimes. Will you create a joint task force of the Department of Justice and governors and state attorney generals and district attorneys across the country to investigate the crimes that have taken place against these victims and more than 1,000 like them? The DOJ is not doing its job. Will you create a task force with state and local law enforcement to make that happen?
There it is. The actual ask, task force, coordination, do your job. Now watch how hard she pivots.
He called Chase Mulligan a wild goose chase and didn't even know who he was. He is a defendant in your own
Chairman,
district who
Mr.
preyed
Chairman.
on girls.
Mr. Chairman.
Well, you know what? If he were part of the Epstein investigation, you wouldn't do anything about it.
Online chat rooms and committed sextortion. Yet he didn't even know in your tiny little district who he
Mr. Chairman,
was.
she's embarrassing you.
He's about to be
This is your committee, and she is embarrassing
Shame
you.
on you.
When multiple members are basically yelling, she's embarrassing you, that's not politics. That's live damage control failing.
The man in that video, the one who was in the police-worn body cam footage, the one allegedly yelling, "Kill him," at police officers on January 6th, his name is Jared Wise.
He does work for us.
He works for you at the Department of
he
Justice.
That is not a great resume line. Yelled kill them at police, and yet here we are.
This is an individual whom a federal grand jury indicted for 2 felonies and 4 misdemeanors related to his participation in the attack on January 6th. One of those charges was forcibly assaulting, resisting, opposing, impeding, intimidating, and interfering with police with the intent to commit another felony. This is who you choose as the chief law enforcement officer of the United States of America to hire at the Department of Justice. Someone on video yelling, "Kill him," at police officers? Right?
If you are wondering why people don't trust institutions, it's because of sentences like that.
I believe he was pardoned by President Trump.
Oh, he was pardoned. You're right. You're right. Pardoned.
He repeats it because he can't believe he just heard it out loud.
Attorney General Bondi, does a convicted sex offender like Ghislaine Maxwell deserve special treatment and privileges in prison? Yes or no?
Let me be crystal clear on this. No. And
Thank you.
let me keep
Perfect.
going. No, let me keep going.
Perfect. Well, I
did not know she was being transferred.
I
and
asked you yes or
she
no.
was
and
not
I'm claiming
transferred
my
to a
time.
lower
Mr. Chairman,
level.
please stop the clock and remind the witness of the rules.
When the Attorney General needs a rules reminder on the record, that's not a flex.
Who ordered her to be transferred to the minimum security prison that she was ineligible for? Who signed off on the special privileges? Was it Mr. Blanche? Was it one of your other subordinates? So please, can you tell us who sent her there since you don't agree she should be there?
This is the part where a normal witness says a name or admits they don't know. Watch the dodge.
I said I do not agree she should receive special treatment. She was transferred, I learned after the fact, to the same level facility, and that is a question for the Bureau of Prisons. I was not involved in that at all. The same level facility, I don't know why, but you know, instead of talking about Ghislaine Maxwell, who hopefully will die in prison, you should be talking about Irina Zarutska.
So, not involved, don't know why, as someone else, and now we're talking about a different person. That's the whole template.
I have a couple of
died
other
on a
questions.
subway.
Right, and I absolutely...
You don't talk about that.
I have been talking about it and actually helping with these issues. But we're going to move back to you.
I bet we are.
Yes, of course, because you're here to testify. That's what the whole point of this endeavor is. So, of course, we're moving back to you. It is all about you.
That line, "You're here to testify," should be printed on a mug and slid across the table every time she tries to change the subject.
Should Donald Trump pardon or commute her sentence? Should she be released from prison, yes or no? You said you hope she dies there, so I'm hoping the answer is no.
I already answered that question.
Good. I'm very glad. I really like this bipartisan agreement about
Well, when
what
it
should
agrees
happen.
with you. But you don't want to talk about Irina Zarutska. You don't want to talk about
I talk about her
murdered
all
by
the
a
time,
violent crime
but
offender
I am not
in
here
your
to
jurisdiction.
testify before Congress. You are. That is your job today.
You are
That's what you're getting
obsessed.
paid.
The hearing has officially become couples therapy, except the topic is accountability. And one person keeps trying to talk about your neighborhood crime stats.
Has the Justice Department specifically asked Secretary Lutnick about his ties to Jeffrey Epstein?
He has addressed those ties himself.
Has the DOJ asked Secretary Phelan about his ties to Jeffrey Epstein?
I don't know whether he has addressed those or not.
Has Deputy Secretary Feinberg talked to the Department of Justice about his ties to Jeffrey Epstein? Yes or no? Has the Department of Justice talked to Deputy Secretary Feinberg about his ties to Jeffrey Epstein, which are clearly spelled out in the files? It's a very simple question. It's not a trick question. I'm just asking you.
Yeah, I'm stunned that you want to continue talking about.
Oh my gosh.
Epstein
Okay,
instead
I'm
of a
reclaiming
Border
my
Patrol
time.
agent
I'm asking
murder.
you not a trick question, a simple question.
Stunned. Yes, ma'am. The Epstein thing keeps coming up. Weird how that happens when it's unresolved and survivors are sitting right there behind you.
Okay, so what is clear is we have evidence.
Do you know who Chris Malin is?
We have evidence that 3 senior officials within the Trump administration have ties to Jeffrey Epstein. And what I
does ties mean?
I can conclude
What does
from what
ties
you
mean?
are saying that you have not talked to them.
What does ties
So,
mean?
I
Can you
think
define
Americans would be shocked to learn that you are not interested in talking with these officials who have ties to Jeffrey Epstein.
What does
across
ties
the
mean?
world,
Can you define that?
across the world.
Yes. The legal strategy of pretending you don't understand the English language. Define ties. Ma'am, it's not a trick word. It's literally the word for connection.
Can you
Prominent
define
men
ties?
who've been exposed in the files have resigned their jobs in disgrace. And that's a good first start. And that same
Disgrace is
standard,
not saying the word
this
Chris
same
Malin.
standard should apply here. And Americans want accountability.
Who is Chris Malin?
Was the
Was
president
he?
aware? Please stop talking. It is not your time to ask
was he?
questions. It is not your time. I'm reclaiming my time, Mr. Chair.
1 second.
Time belongs to the gentlelady from Vermont.
Notice what just happened. Accountability question, immediate interruption. New random name unlocked. What about Chris? When the facts are bad, introduce a side character.
Was the president aware of Secretary Lutnick's ties to Epstein when he chose him to lead the Department of Commerce? Was he aware?
Chris Malin was a Border Patrol agent.
Okay, so I'm going to conclude that the president, in fact, did know about his ties because he was the next door neighbor.
Shame on you.
Oh, for goodness sakes,
You're
this
from
is
a tiny,
pathetic.
beautiful
This is
state.
pathetic, Mr.
Committee will
Chair.
be in order.
I am not asking trick questions here.
This is what it looks like when the room is asking about Epstein ties. And the response is vibes, insults, and tiny state. Very serious DOJ energy.
The American people have a right to know the answers to this. These are senior officials in the Trump administration. This is not a game, Secretary.
I'm Attorney General.
My apologies, I couldn't tell.
That is a dagger. Polite, clean, and lethal.
By 2008, we knew that Epstein was a convicted sexual abuser. And we now know that Lutnick went to Epstein's Island in 2012. How was that not a deal breaker for the president? And why aren't you asking questions of the Commerce Secretary about what he saw when he was at the island, which he lied about not ever going to? Why are you not asking these questions? And I see that my time is almost expired, so I will say this. Do the right thing, Attorney General. Meet with the survivors. They have been asking for a year. Meet with the survivors. Do the right thing. I yield back.
I was curious if you, Congresswoman, asked Bill Clinton that. Didn't see one tweet, not one. I didn't see one tweet when Joe Biden was in office about Bill Clinton.
This was her response to meet the survivors and ask the questions. She answered with, "What about Bill Clinton? And where were your tweets?" This is the Attorney General doing social media discourse.
Because I'm curious, and I'd like to see, flip to the Jared Moskowitz section of the binder. I'm interested to see what staff provided on the oppo on me, and because we're in the Olympics,
I'm gonna give it a grade.
So first of all, nothing is funny about mocking the Bible and holding up a Trump Bible. That's what you did.
That's the
You made a joke, and I find offense to that. That's all I have to say.
I want it from the burn book.
Shame.
I want it from the burn book, which is the best one. What you got?
That is funny. And the fact she did not have a clean answer ready for him, after all that posture, tells you this whole thing is performance until someone improvises and she can't.
Will you commit to publicly providing the unredacted version of this so that the American people can understand the extent of Donald Trump's lies about his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein?
You're about as good of a lawyer today as you were when you tried to impeach President Trump in 2016. Have you apologized for that in 2019?
So will you unredact this? Will you
were
unredact
lead
this?
counsel on that. Privileged.
I'm asking you, will you unredact this?
Privileged.
Privileged, of course. I look forward to discussing this more.
Question: will you unredact it? Answer: personal insult, counterattack, and then privileged gets tossed like it's holy water. That's not oversight. That's dodgeball.
Even though you used improper redactions to protect Donald Trump and other predators associated with Jeffrey Epstein, you did the exact opposite thing with the survivors and victims of this scheme. So their identification information was really the only thing required to be redacted, and it was not. And it's clear this was not a mistake. This was not by accident. This was not because you only had 30 days when you really used 75, and that doesn't even include all the hours last March that you were redacting it.
That's not rhetoric. That's structure. The only thing legally required to be protected wasn't. And the only thing that didn't legally need protection got it. Deadlines don't flip priorities like that. Decisions do.
But I'll tell you why it's clear it wasn't a mistake. There is an email entitled Epstein Victim List. There are 32 names. One is redacted, 31 are not. So someone looked at it and decided to redact something. And I will tell you that that is clearly intentional to intimidate these survivors and victims.
He's laying out the logic clean. If you can redact, you choose what to redact. And that choice tells the story.
Here we go. Here's the photograph. This is why he wanted to repeat everything that had been said previously on Epstein. This is his state, New York. You probably don't even know who this is. Wahid Mohammed from Afghanistan.
Yes, because I'm no longer a prosecutor.
Convicted of assault.
Let's talk about the 70% of immigrants who are detained without a criminal conviction or arrest.
Stop the clock.
That pivot was so fast it should come with a seatbelt. We went from survivor names to your state, and he shut it down immediately.
President Trump has also, he has referred to himself as the chief law enforcement officer of this country. So do you believe that President Trump is honest?
He is the commander-in-chief of the United States of America, and
that
not only
President
is
Trump
he
is
keeping
honest?
this country safe,
Do you
he
believe
is keeping
he is
this
honest?
world
It's
safe.
a simple question,
Of
which
course
you didn't
I do.
answer.
He is
Okay,
the
thank you.
commander-in-chief.
It's a yes or no question, and she answered it like a campaign ad.
You should answer my
answer's
question.
yes.
You're on my time, but you won't. And what I am asking you to do is put the report back. Restore the data. Stop scrubbing important data from your website. Stop taking down reports that you know the American people need to know about. There are violent, dangerous people out here with real threats.
Her district includes Culver City, and she's not talking about any crime in her district. Nothing about helping crime in her district. She's not even worth getting into the details.
Not worth getting into the details? Then why are you here?
To be clear, I'm not going to ask any questions of this witness because this witness has revealed that she has no intentions of answering questions. But instead, I'm going to ask some very basic questions really quickly of my colleague, Becca Ballant, if she will answer right or wrong, raping children.
Wrong.
Right or wrong, killing random citizens.
Definitely wrong.
Right or wrong, enriching yourself as the sitting president of the United States.
Definitely wrong.
This is what happens when you stop trying to get answers and start documenting the circus.
Our witness, who somehow is a lawyer but does not understand how it works with witnesses. I'm not really sure what law school she went to and what all kind of cases she tried, but typically when you come into a space and somebody's a witness, then they sit there and they answer questions instead of asking questions. And then we also have this objection that we use as lawyers called non-responsive, when a witness fails to actually answer the question.
Non-responsive is the polite word. The other word is doing a magic trick with your time.
We don't know the basics of right and wrong in this country because it's not about partisanship, and that's why I applaud Thomas Massey, because he's the only person on the Republican side that has a backbone and knows how to stand up to corruption.
When bipartisan praise shows up in a hearing like this, it's usually because the problem is too obvious to ignore.
This is a good one. Now, I'm not saying that the president is a pedophile, but there is a lot of evidence in these files that suggests that he's very close friends with a lot of men who are pedophiles. What's crazy about all of this is just that this is a big cover-up. And this administration is engaged in it.
And she says it plainly, without the dance. This is what the room is actually fighting about. Survivors in the room, names on the record, specific questions, and somehow we're arguing about who gets to talk. That's not strength. That's stall tactics. Oversight isn't open mic night. It's the moment where power is supposed to answer. And today, the answers weren't there.